Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are exploring the frontiers of deep tech innovation and infrastructure modernization. In 2026, navigating the global transition towards electric vehicles, artificial intelligence data centers, and total grid electrification means moving past antiquated, century old hardware designs to architect safer, smarter, and highly efficient clean technology solutions. Joining us today is Terri Breker, Chief Marketing Officer at VoltSafe Inc. Based in Vancouver, Terri is an elite marketing and communications executive with over 25 years of senior leadership experience, spanning startup technology, professional sports, and major retail organizations. Since 2021, she has directed the brand growth, investor visibility, and market commercialization for a pioneering Canadian deep tech firm that is literally rewriting the rules of how the world connects to electricity. So, before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Terri, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kripa. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Terri, humans have completely revolutionized software, right? Mobile networks, even, and also the aerospace over the last century. Yet, our baseline method of plugging into an electrical outlet has remained entirely unchanged for 140 years. Let's start the conversation by understanding from your perspective, why does VoltSafe believe traditional electrical plugs need to be reinvented in the first place? Go ahead.
Absolutely, and you hit the nail right on the head there. We have seen so much change in technology over the years, from the way we talk on the phone, communicate, our the way we drive to work every day, aerospace. We've gone to space and back. We have AI, and we've seen all of this
Right.
modernization and tremendous change. Yet the one thing that we have not seen is fundamental change with the way that we plug in and connect to electricity. Yet we connect and power to devices every single day. Chances are everyone watching today has plugged something in, be it their EV,
Yes.
their laptop, etc. And so at VoltSafe, we believe that the traditional plug and socket system is now antiquated. It's been over 100 years, 140 years since, but it's served us well. But we live in a very different world now. And the one thing that we don't have, we need more and more is a connected ecosystem. And there's increasing demand on our grids for more and more electricity.
Mhm.
In addition, traditional prong plugs with recessed outlets, they pose an electrical risk. They're a safety risk. And we can't manage that demand granularly like we really need to do to mitigate vampire power, et cetera. And so what VoltSafe is doing is we are innovating on that way we connect to power across multiple industries, not just at home, but also
Mhm.
in the marine industry, aerospace,
Yes.
anywhere, autonomous robots, wherever you connect to power, we know that there is a better way to manage that electricity and make sure that we're absolutely using it to the best of its ability and we're not wasting it. So I think that's where VoltSafe steps in. And we're the first company in the world to successfully safety certify a plug with exposed contacts. And I'm just going to
Mhm.
show a quick sample. So this is a home outlet prototype that we did. So in a home, theoretically, what with our technology, you could have a toddler that could touch this outlet. It is off by default. Our
Mhm.
traditional outlets are recessed contacts that are hiding live electrical power that is dangerous. So
Mhm.
when our two sides of the outlet come together, power transfers safely, and we can actually monitor that energy use right down to the outlet level, and we can understand where that power is going, how it is being used, and ultimately detect issues before they arise, so we don't have to endure electrical fires and infrastructure
Mhm.
damage, which costs billions of dollars in insurance every single day. So that's
Yeah.
what we set out to do, is to innovate on that electrical outlet across multiple industries.
Wow, very well articulated. And thank you so much for that amazing demo. It's amazing to see that, kids are going to be safe because usually at our homes, we see toddlers, just playing around and getting their fingers inside those holes. So it's a very real problem that you guys are addressing. So kudos to everything that you've achieved and so much more power to you guys. You also mentioned the marine industry, right? So let's talk a little about that as well. So why exactly do you think VoltSafe chose the marina industry as your first major market? So why that specifically? Because there's a plethora of industries that could use that as well. So was there a strategic direction that went along with that planning? Go ahead.
We really did. We looked at many industries. When you break it down, and 6 billion people use electricity every single day around
Yeah.
the globe. And when we dug into it more deeply, we found that the marine industry is just starved for innovation. They're still using shore power that is the same system that they've used for ages. And boats and EVs, electric boats, are really making a change and innovation in that industry. It's starved for modernization. But what it did, it presented a unique opportunity to bring our technology, which is safe around water. And you can imagine water and electricity obviously don't mix, particularly around salt water where corrosion gets into those
Yes.
outlets. And you
Mhm.
see it in the news. Marinas have boat fires, infrastructure damage, risks to life and property. And that's a
Mhm.
serious problem that the industry is finally getting behind. And we've been to numerous trade shows. We've won industry awards for this technology. They haven't seen innovation like this in shore power. So we
Exactly.
set our mind forward to build a system that it's also smart at its core. So the marina operator now, who's a very busy person, they now could do remote billing, or sorry, remote monitoring, billing automation. They can see issues happening at the dock before those fires and those issues begin. And so it's giving them a level of operational efficiency as well as just skyrocketing the level of safety, which is truly important and critical in that industry. The other thing that's happening in that industry is regulations are getting more strict, and so we're coming in at
Mhm.
a time when the industry is just starved for that innovation and increasing safety needs. So we address multiple layers of concerns that are going on there with it. It's safety, it's operational efficiency, and it's also sustainability. As we look towards decarbonization of our waters, we're
Mhm.
looking for other sources of power and energy around the docks and on our waters to make sure that we are progressing in a safe and positive way for our environment as well. So it took us time to unearth that market, but when we dug into it and found that this is an area that really needs that innovation, and we're working closely with the Royal Vancouver Yacht Club here in Vancouver to test and pilot. We've been in different pilots around North America, and we see globally different marinas all experiencing the same problems, and they're excited that they see this innovation coming to fruition. And we're working also with the Port of San Diego on a pilot project with their Blue Economy Incubator program. When we go to trade shows, and we've been to different marinas around the world with our
Yeah.
traveling different areas, and we're seeing the same thing around all of those different marinas, is that they're experiencing the same challenges, and it's just exciting to see how passionate they are about our innovation, and
Got it.
we're just in the final stages of certification and bringing that product to commercialization. And we can't wait. It's a very important market to us. It's our first major market, and
Mhm.
the excitement is palpable, and it's just wonderful to see.
Amazing. I think eliminating pronged plugs in environments where water and high voltage mix completely, it eradicates catastrophic risks like corrosion, as you mentioned, electrical arcing, and underwater shocks as well. Great to know. This was very informational and very educational in nature as well, because not a lot of people know that these things exist as well. Now, Terry, let's look at scaling smart energy solutions across the blue economy. So, I'd love for you to explain to our listeners that how does VoltSafe help modernize power grids and energy management, apart from the marine as well?
Absolutely. Earlier, I mentioned that at our core, we have software enabled in our hardware. So it's more than just a magnetic plug and a matching outlet that transfers electricity safely. There's also built-in smarts inside the hardware that allow us to manage and monitor that electricity right down to that last meter. So the electrical grid in the past has been a very passive way. It's electricity that's generated, it's served out to different outlets and industries, residential, commercial, et cetera. But it just flows from generation to consumption, and we don't really have a visibility into what's happening at that edge of the grid and what can happen. And you see it sometimes in larger markets in California and Texas where they have these major grid outages. And what happens with ours, we truly believe we need to manage the electricity we have more smartly to avoid these grid shocks. And so intelligence is key. It's not just about adding more infrastructure and power lines. So what we do is we help that final point of connection, where that last meter of the grid, that we're helping manage that power efficiently. And so we can avoid and mitigate those spikes. When these shocks happen, it's the amount of electrification is growing. We know that demand for electricity is soaring. Here in Canada, we have just had the government of Canada introduce new policies. Our Prime Minister has just announced that with the expectation of growing demands, grids are going to need to double by the year 2050, which is not that far away. And so our infrastructure needs to be able to meet these demands with the amount of growing electricity and electrification needs. And so to meet these aggressive goals, we truly believe that we have to manage it more intelligently. And that's what VoltSafe can do. It can help us monitor and manage those power loads. It can help us make informed decisions with energy distribution. In other words, you could turn passive energy consumption into a data-driven asset, and that's what sets us apart. We truly believe that it's not just about building more infrastructure. It's about using that energy asset in a more informed and effective way.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that amazing answer. Building on what you've said, Terry, I'd like to give a special message to all of our listeners now, specifically to all the green tech developers, property operators, and deep tech investors who are listening and watching this. In 2026, running a smart grid on blind analog outlet is completely impossible. Terry and the award winning engineering team at VoltSafe are the only group in the world to successfully certify and commercialize high power conductive magnetic connectors. Their patented system doesn't just ditch the pronged, it introduces an intelligent software layer giving marina and facility operators a real time app based look at peak demand. Power leaks as well, and also disconnections, and also having completely swept the floor with over three over asking offers on CBC's Dragon's Den and captured so many more top honors. VoltSave is actively scaling its revenue model via licensed IP and SaaS dashboard ecosystems. So, if you are ready to stop watching the clean tech wave and start owning a piece of it, visit voltsafe.com/invest today to explore their current active private funding rounds. Align your portfolio with the future of electrified intelligence. Coming back to you, Terry, as you said, integrating an app controlled SaaS energy management platform directly into a magnetic plug turns a basic connection point into an active data rich control node for smart grid conversion. So, thank you so much for explaining such a critical tech piece so easily and relatably. Now, let's explore building a defensible technology platform across industries. So, how can VoltSafe's technology expand into industries beyond just marine applications? Just touch quickly on that as well.
Absolutely. So what was incredible about VoltSafe when I joined the company is that the core problem that we're solving exists pretty much everywhere you consume electricity around the world. So what I think is it sets us apart is that we have a very high level of inbound demand. So the markets essentially are coming to us. So when emergency services, fire departments, aerospace, when they start to hear about what it is that we can do, the light goes on and they're like, wow, we could integrate this into our system. So we're receiving a lot of validation from three different places. So the customer demand, third-party recognition from these awards and these opportunities to share our platform, along with a deep IP moat that we've put in place to protect our IP around the world, given that we've been the only one to successfully come to the market with this technology. And so what we've seen is that there's opportunities to work with defense, aerospace, swappable batteries. We've signed our first licensing deal with a major electrical
Wow.
connector company. And this can span so many other operations that we're very excited to get started. We did start with our first major market being marine, but as you mentioned earlier, Kripa, this could span so many other industries globally
Right.
that it could help us manage our power in a very effective way. So it's one of the most exciting things about building a deep tech company is you start with solving a particular solution, and
Yeah.
then you see other markets coming forward that we can also serve. And so we're looking at all of those as well in parallel while we build out the marine solution.
Wow. I think what you're doing is so important. Terry, you're so passionate about what you do. How did you get into doing this? Is this something that you were always very interested in, even growing up? Or did you stumble upon this in your career? Because this is a very interesting space, right? So, what's your story there?
Honestly, I worked in many different facets of marketing in my career, and I've had the good fortune of working with companies that I truly believe and get behind. And I had colleagues that knew the co-founder and CEO Trevor Burgess, and so I was introduced early, and I watched
Hmm.
Dragon's Den, and I saw the excitement that they had and the energy, no pun intended, that came through. And when there was an opportunity to join the board of directors for VoltSafe, I jumped at it, and then a full-time role grew out of that, given the growth of the company. So that's how I landed here, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. It's like a family when you work together with a small group and you're building something
Right.
that literally can make a difference in a positive way across the globe. And I'm just proud to be a tiny part of what could be a very big thing.
Beautiful. It's just amazing how life turns out the way that you haven't imagined, right? And you end up doing such an incredible work and giving back to the community. I'm very inspired by you, Terry. So thank you so much for this. I'm loving this conversation. Definitely, we'd love for you to be back, hopefully, for an in person episode that we do the next with you. But for now, before we let you go, if there's one final piece of advice that you have for our listeners today, specifically for all the founders who are looking to disrupt traditional industries. If you could whisper one thing into their ears, what would you say and why?
Oh, just feeding off what I said, I think be passionate about what you are doing, get behind it, and I think be patient. Traditional industries, a lot of people think, oh, if it's too mature, we can't disrupt this industry. But as long as you believe that there's a better way to do something, then there is likely a solution out there for it. And I think that that's what VoltSafe does, and we take that to heart. We think big, and we think that the most successful deep tech companies don't just create products, they're creating solutions that people can understand and get behind. And we're finding that the potential market here and the ceiling is limitless. So I think it's just patience and thinking big. And I think that if you have that desire and passion, you can disrupt industries and make big change.
Beautiful. That's $1 million advice right there. And also an exceptional reminder that having the courage to challenge a status quo that has stood for over a century is where true market value is created. Terry, it was such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Kripa. It's a pleasure.
All right, that was Terri Breker from VoltSafe Inc., a masterclass in disrupting legacy infrastructure through conductive magnetic technology, leveraging the Port of San Diego pilot to scale the blue economy, and understanding why smart electrification is rewriting the rules of commerce in 2026. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a very special thank you to our partners, UPS, our shipping partner, and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.